This is Bleav in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network.
Scored a touchdown earlier on a direct snap. Now it's Michelle's turn, running all the way. Gets to the edge. Sonny Michelle will send the Dawgs home to the championship game.
53.5-yard drive near hash, kick right, snap, hold, kick is away, it's reaching, and it is good, good, good. Hot Pod does it. All right, Hot Pod.
Dawgs with an up and out, wide open. Touchdown. Israel Troop.
Bleav in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network, also coming to you from Brinks TV on the YouTube. Joining me as always is my man Israel Troop. Israel, did you know that it has been exactly 1 year since you and I joined forces to do the Bleav in Georgia Dawgs podcast?
Oh man, it's our official anniversary.
That's right.
And now we're on TV and we're on YouTube.
That's right.
Hey man, I think our relationship is progressing. I mean, it's about time for you to pop the question.
I'm thinking about it. I gotta go pick out a ring. So yeah, we're getting there. So, but yeah, welcome in. It's a show, man. I like the cup too, by the way. We're excited to bring you. This is what is going to be a really exciting weekend for Georgia football. Not one that I was expecting to be an exciting weekend because, you know, I'll be honest with you, in the preseason previews, I didn't think Arkansas, although I knew they were going to be tough, I didn't know they were going to be top 10. So we got that on the table. We'll break down the 62-0, or what we can break down of the 62-0 thrashing of the Vanderbilt Commodores. And, of course, we're going to make our picks. Israel, you had another good week in the picks, by the way. I won't tell you what your record is yet. I'll have to surprise you. But you had another good week. I should start listening to you. But if you want our social information, it is scrolling right here beneath us. And you can go on and give us a follow. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that bell notification, let you know when there's new content posted there. And as always, word of mouth is our best marketing tool. So by all means, speak about it. All right. And talk about it. Tell your friends about it. Let them know this is the place to go if you want a good and great Georgia Bulldog show. But we are brought to you by betonline.ag. It's the number one place for all of your betting needs. Israel, I finally hit on a 2-game parlay, which I took Georgia minus 37.5. Wasn't sure if I actually wanted that, but I took probably one of the easiest bets I've ever made in my life, which was Notre Dame +6. And I hit that one pretty easily. So, so yeah, I thought I'd tell you about that one.
Very nice. So you're 2-0 so far.
I am 2-0. I hit my parlay, like I said. But I got bold, right? You know, because I can't just hit a parlay and be done with it, right? I've got to actually be bolder and say, okay, I'm going some other, and so I did. I didn't hit those though, but I did hit the 1-2 parlay. So I had my one win for the weekend and broke even. So that's good, right?
That's it. You won and you lost. So I mean, that's pretty good odds right there. Did you take any of the ones that I talked about, or did you go against me?
Well, I took Tennessee to cover. We missed that one. I went against. We
should have had that one there.
I know we should have. If Hooker doesn't go down, we have it. I went against you on Mississippi State. I took Mississippi State. I went against you on Mizzou. me and J-Boy went against you on Mizzou. So that wasn't good. I should have went with the Hogs, man. I felt like that was a sure thing, and I didn't go with it. I should have, because in my gut, deep down in my gut, I knew it was going to happen. So, Head to the website, use a mobile device, sign up today, receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your bonus from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, blackjack for me. Don't wait to take the advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. In conjunction with watching a little bit of the Notre Dame Wisconsin game, my friend Matt is a Notre Dame alum, and he was not only was he agonizing over that Vanderbilt, because he hosts the Bleav in Vanderbilt football podcast, but he also hosts Bleav in Badgers podcast with the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein, and he was agonizing over both games, and so. I was texting back and forth with him. I was watching Wisconsin a little bit, and I was watching this thrashing that Georgia put on the hands of Vanderbilt. And 35-0 after the first quarter. Few things we noticed. Brock Bowers is a dude. He was SEC Player of the Week. And Ladd McConkey is trying to do his best impression of Hunter Renfrow. Those are those two of the biggest takeaways I had.
Yes, Ladd McConkey is not even a possession receiver. He's running reverses. We're throwing phase to him. I mean, he's pretty much, just as dynamic as Mitchell, as Burton, as any of those guys in that receiver room. So, I mean, now you're about to add Jackson. Now you're about to add Washington, who's supposedly supposed to be back, a healthy Burton, Bowers. I mean, you don't skip a beat. So, I mean, just seeing him and Bowers just ball out on Saturday just lets us know that, hey, man, we got depth, and that's why they call it recruiting.
Absolutely, man, and it's a battle in there, and he's proven himself. And one of the articles I saw, and I actually talked about this with my team, is how he made his way on the scout team. He developed and turned into the receiver that he is, or that he was this past Saturday. A lot of that came against one of the top defenses in the country, going on scout team each and every week. You lived it. You probably played on it a little bit, and you probably saw it, and all of the above. So, like, scout team, like, talk about the importance of scout team.
Scout team is how you get recognized. This guy by the name of Noshawn Marino, which I'm sure all Dog fans know, was redshirt, and he was on the scout team. And they said they couldn't tackle him, and we all know what happened after that. So, a lot of kids are young these days. They want to play. We live in a world of instant gratification. Nobody really wants to work. They just want things given to them. Well, in the real world, that doesn't happen. In the sports world, it definitely doesn't happen. Unless you're a legit baller when you first come into college, you're going to be on scout team. I mean, bar none. That's going to happen. So the fact that he took his stride, I mean, he balled on the scout team. He got better. Not only did he get his Indy time with Coach Hanks and all those guys, but he also went over there and worked on his craft. If you're playing receiver, you're working against one of the top defenses in the nation. So you have no choice but to get better, or they're going to knock your teeth out. So he decided that he wasn't going to cry or complain. He decided he was going to get better. And now look, he's scoring touchdowns. On Saturday, he's one of the starting receivers. He's one of the guys that they depend on and they count on in clutch situations, and he's making plays. So, I mean, scout team is a good thing, and just depends on how you handle it. You get noticed, and guess what? Next thing you do, you find yourself in a starting rotation.
Absolutely. And he's not only just making routine catches and being a possession receiver. I mean, he's elevating for balls. One of his touchdowns was a corner out that he went up and climbed the ladder. He's running reverses. His routes, double moves, things like that are very, very polished. And the kid is just a competitor, and you can't help but develop competitive toughness. It's either going to make you or break you in that regard, playing on the scout team against such a great defense. And if you don't have competitive toughness, you're screwed. And he decided he was, it toughened him. Iron sharpens iron. And, and I think you can tell he gets immense amount of respect from the guys because of that. And when you go day in and day out and battle with those guys, they have nothing but respect for you. And that's a huge thing. And I think Ladd McConkey is benefiting from it, and our offense is benefiting from it. And he's going to be a playmaker in this thing. Even when all those guys come back, he's going to factor in.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, we can talk about all this. He did this and that, but at the end of the day, the coaches trust him. The coaches trust him to go out and do a job. The coaches trust him to go out there and make a catch. I mean, do you really think that, the offensive coordinator would call a reverse to a kid that he didn't trust with the ball in his hand? Do you really think a coach would call a corner route against man coverage to a kid that he didn't trust to go up and get the football?
Mm-mm.
No, that's not going to happen. And he's earned that. He's earned that right. He's earned that respect. And then, he's very Hunter Renfro-like. Reminds me a lot of my boy Michael Bennett,
yes.
Chris Durham, the guys who I played for. So, this is a beautiful thing to see, a kid that young, go out there and just ball. He doesn't complain. He went out there on the scout team, took his lumps. Next thing you know, he's playing on Saturday. His name is being announced, with the starting lineup.
He earned it.
Exactly.
He earned it. So
you can complain about being on scout team, or you can go out there and ball and show coaches you can play on the big stage, whether it's Friday night, whether it's Saturday night, or whether it's Sunday night.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I told my kids about that a couple days ago. We had we have a short team meeting before every practice. We co-op with a school that's downtown Nashville. That's an academic magnet school. They have every sport except football. So they co-op with us, and their kids play football for us, and then they play all their other sports for that school. And so while we're waiting on them, we usually have a meeting, and we usually lift with the guys that are at our school, and do some things while we wait on those other kids to get there, because they don't get there until after 3:00. In our school, we have about an hour before those guys even get there that we have to kill. So we do things like meetings, working out, team meetings and stuff like that. So I was sharing this story with them, and it really just kind of stood out to me because, I think it was, obviously it was relevant because, our kids and, a lot of high school kids, and you probably deal with this too. A lot of kids think scout team is punishment. Like, oh, I'm not JV. I'm not supposed to be on the scout team. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah. I tell my kids all the time, look at the person that's playing in front of you and ask yourself, are you better than them? If the answer is no, that's why you're playing JV and you're on a scout team. I'm very blunt and very upfront with my guys. And then, and that's one thing, I learned from all the coaches I've been around. If you're upfront and honest with players, they tend to respond a little bit differently. So I bet you when Ladd first got there, they were like, hey, man, look, we got Pickens, we got Burden, we got all these guys coming in, get in where you fit in. He was like, yes, sir. Went out there and ball. Next thing you know, he's scoring touchdowns.
Scoring multiple touchdowns. And another guy that's doing that is Brock Bowers, man. SEC Freshman of the Week. Scored it's awesome that it blows my mind that a tight end scores on a jet sweep.
I was about to say.
That doesn't happen.
The Kyle Pitts of the world,
Yeah.
The only person I could think of that would get a jet sweep as a tight end would be Vernon Davis, because he ran like a 4.2, something like that, but
something ridiculous. Yeah.
But you had the jet sweep to a tight end, and he scores just, it's amazing at the fact that this kid's balling. I saw this thing, they're trying to compare, him to Washington and things like that. And I'm like, the media does a terrible job of, pinning kids against each other. These kids are teammates. Each one has a different skill set. You got one that's 13,000 feet tall, and, one that could run like a cheetah. So these guys are teammates.
Yeah.
One's not better than the other one. Just brings a different skill set than the other one. So to see that, and the fact that if everything goes right, we get Washington back. That just add a different element to what you want to do. Now you're legit 2 tight end sets now. 3 tight end sets if you add Fitzpatrick to it.
Yeah, you can get Fitzpatrick on the edge, and then you put Washington out wide, put Bowers in the slot, and then throw Burton or Arian Smith or whoever solo on the other side, and you got a nice little 3-by-1 set that you can run it out of because you have a tight end. You You can throw a jump ball, or you can attack the middle of the field with Bowers, and it's you got all the things in the world that you want to do there. So, man, it's crazy.
So now the tempo that we use after first downs, you don't have to change personnel, so teams can't sub.
No.
So, of course, what you have in 3 tight ends in the game, they're going to bring in a bigger package to kind of defend it. Well, guess what? Now you spread them out. They can't sub.
Yeah,
you don't sub, they can't sub. Now your tempo has just got that much faster.
Darnell's an NBA player out there playing football. He runs like an NBA player, jumps like an NBA player, looks like an NBA player. That's scary. Brock runs like a wide receiver. Brock runs like Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce. That's pretty lofty, but he runs like that. He reminds me a lot of TJ. He reminds me a lot of TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, he's just a freshman, which means he can look like Travis Kelce real soon.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be long if he keeps this up. He's on that pace where he's going to be, up there in that echelon of the Travis Kelce, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller type mold of NFL tight ends. So I'm excited about the weapons that we have, the weapons that we're hopefully going to have available, even if it's limited. I think a limited Darnell Washington is better than no Darnell Washington. It gives us another threat and gives Arkansas something to have to defend. And speaking of defending, somebody that's making their presence felt, somebody who got a lot of playing time due to just the fact that Vanderbilt was getting their ass kicked, was Jalen Carter. He benefited from that. He got a lot of playing time. He was somebody that was just a problem for Vanderbilt.
Yes. The fact that he almost decapitated the running back. That was just the way that he sheds blocks and stays low while he's doing it. He's learning from one of the best in Jordan. So, just the way he goes about his business. I love it. We got to get them. I know we're mainly 3-down team out of our base set, but you get both of them on the field at the same time. You want whatever side he's on, you're not running to it. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and he's a lot. And as scary as it is he's a lot quicker than Jordan Davis, and he's not much smaller.
No,
not much smaller.
So you don't lose anything by taking Jordan out.
You don't. He gives you just as much production, and he gives you a little bit more in the pass rush game too. So, you get tempo teams that have to contend with Jalen Carter. That ain't much better. Like teams are like, we got Jordan Davis off the field. Oh crap!
Wrong.
Jalen Carter will rip my head off. So, just overall, not really much you can get from that game. It's just total domination the whole way. Vandy's offensive line couldn't do anything. It didn't matter who the quarterback was, although I think Mike Wright was able to have some semblance of moving the ball more so than Ken Seals. I think he's a better fit for that Vandy offense than Ken Seals, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Ken Seals, I should say. But, Georgia's offensive line had their way. Really Georgia could do whatever they wanted to in this game. They could name the number. It was just kind of like a scrimmage for them. So not much else you can take away from this game. We came out relatively unscathed, uninjured, maybe some bumps and bruises, but nothing serious. We come out, we come into this week gaining a couple people. Tyke Smith also is on board. So anything else jump out or –
I think for me, it's one of those games to where you see exactly what kind of team Georgia has this year. This is a game where obviously we had in the bag, no matter what day we played them, what time we played them, it was going to be a Georgia win. But the fashion in which we won it, it was surprising to me. The fact that, we were up 35-0, in the first quarter and we didn't stop.
Right.
That's one of those things that, just kind of happens, as we go along. But just seeing us keep the pedal on, not make very many mistakes, just showed us that we're slowly but surely becoming a more complete team. And I think this week is going to show us just how complete of a team we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it, they spent time, Kirby and the strength staff and the coaches, they spent time planning, team building exercises, things that got guys together that normally wouldn't get together much during the grind of a season. They did a lot of that. They put a focus on relationships and things, because that was one of the things that they said was off about the 2020 season. These guys, because of COVID and, the weird layout, they didn't really know each other that well, and they couldn't trust, you can't fully trust somebody if you don't really know them. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've been I don't care if you're practicing together every day. You're not, when you have 120 people out there, you're not going to know everybody. You may know their name. You may not even know that, really, but you definitely don't know anything about them. So it was good to see, and you could tell these guys are a lot closer knit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Now, this Saturday, we're going to see just how close they really are.
Yeah, let's jump into it. It's hogs and dogs, man. We're gonna jump right into this preview. It's going to be. I always describe this as a cold tub game, right? It's going to be a cold tub game. They're going to get in the cold tub right after, and get rid of that soreness, because it's going to be a physical slugfest. All right. Mm-hmm. Arkansas, man, you watch them play. It's impressive. You watch them jump out to a 17-0 commanding lead on Texas A&M, and just really kept A&M out of that game. And I mean, the score was, it was only a 10-point game. So you look at the score and say, okay, it wasn't that bad. But if you really watch the game, Arkansas had control the whole way. Arkansas was never going to lose that game. They had control. They were physically pounding Texas A&M the whole time, and A&M had no answers, none. Spiller is a special dude, and he made his plays, but it's the equivalent of like how they used to choke out the Lakers right after Shaq left, and it was just Kobe and a bunch of random dudes. Like, they would choke out everybody else and just let Kobe do his thing, and they'd beat the Lakers by 20 every night. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how they played A&M. They choked out everybody else. And they said, okay, well, Spiller, you can do your thing and have your night, and we'll go there. But the problem with that game plan is Arkansas is not going to be able to do that this week. Like, you want to choke out the rest of the receivers. Well, you got 4 running backs that are good at different things that can hit you. So,
exactly.
If you're Arkansas defensively, what is your main concern? Like, what is your hierarchy of trying to stop this Georgia team?
Be prepared for tempo. Be prepared for personnel changes. Find out where McConkey is. Find out where Bowers is. I got to find out where the playmakers are. I think we got to do a really good job of using Cook this week. For me, the linebackers are their strength. Just from watching them, they have really good defensive line, but the linebackers kind of make them go. For me, I would put a linebacker against Cook, especially in some empty sets, things like that. Try to get him the ball in space. So if I'm Coach Odom, I'm trying to figure out where are my playmakers. Where's the weak point on the offensive line? Which one can I play with? They did a good job. Number 55, if I'm not mistaken, from Arkansas, because I watched that entire game. He did a good job of attacking their left tackle all night.
I think that's
left
bumper
tackle
pull.
was the left tackle was Texas A&M's weak point. So they did a good job of matching him against them all night long. That's who he had to block. And eventually, when things about around the first quarter, he started getting to the quarterback a little bit. So of course that's going to mess with your lineman's psyche. Mm-hmm. So he was a problem all night for them. They did a good job of dropping 8, rushing 3 and dropping 8. And for us, we got to find zones. We got to figure out, what they do well. When are they going to drop 8? When are they going to blitz? Things like that. So it's going to be a good chess match between, two seasoned coordinators offensively and defensively.
Yes, no doubt. I mean, you got to figure out communication is going to be key up front. I mean, you got to have this offensive line has got to finally gel. I mean, Clemson was great, but you knew they're going to be aggressive. You knew they were coming. You knew what you had. With Arkansas, they do a little bit better job, I think, disguising it and kind of switching up, whether they bring the house or drop the house. And so up front, you've got to be able to communicate that, because you can't assume based on one look that they're not coming and vice versa. You've got to be able to communicate and get it all picked up. because if I'm Arkansas, I'm finding creative ways to put heat on JT Daniels because I know his weakness is not being able to move around in the pocket. Like he doesn't even climb the pocket that well either. I mean, he doesn't move well side to side. He's a make his read and as soon as that back foot hits, get the ball out. Like that's where he's at his best. If there's any sort of movement required, like the minimal amount of movement he's okay with, but if it requires any more than that, it's a wrap. Right, it's a wrap. He's going down. He's not mobile at all. And if I'm Arkansas, I try to do my best to blend both of those concepts of drop 8 and heavy blitz, aggressive blitz. So, I got to get my linebackers involved. They've got to play games, and they've got to get this offensive line confused a little bit. Where you have a guy blocking air and opening up a gap for somebody, things like that can really make life difficult for offensive lines. And of course, being able to stop the run in your base defense, without having to blitz. If they have to commit the blitz to stop the run, they're screwed. Because here we go with RPOs because they're gonna establish people to the box, and next thing you know, Brock Bowers is sitting right there behind them, and we got big chunk plays. So if they're gonna do any of that, they have to be able to stop the run without blitzing, and if they can do that, they'll give themselves a chance. But where I worry about on the Arkansas side of things, where it gets worrisome for them is the depth, right? Mm-hmm. Georgia has 3 nose guards that could start at any program in the SEC or in the country for that matter. Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, and Jalen Carter. Those 3 guys are a problem. Trevon Walker's a problem. Zion Loga's a problem. All right, that's 5 guys right there. And I'm probably leaving out somebody. You have linebackers that are a problem. Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, those guys run. Channing Tindall, those guys run side to side like it's insane how fast they are. Sideline to sideline. They make their reads and then they explode out of there and they can run you down for what would be a 8-10 yard gain against most teams. It's a 2 yard gain against those guys. Mm-hmm. So and you got guys behind them that has similar skill sets, probably not as fast instinctually, but they have similar skill sets. So to me, depth is a huge issue here. I think it's a huge advantage for Georgia.
Yeah, most definitely. I think offensively, if we come out and pound them a little bit, what's going to make a defense slow down? What's going to make those guys up front kind of think twice? You pound on them a little bit, and like you said, the depth. When you play in Georgia, you got about 8 guys that rotate in on that defense, consistently, whether it's secondary or whether it's up front. Arkansas, I saw the same 11 on the field the whole entire game. And if one goes down, who they replace it with? I'm pretty sure they have guys that come in, that rotate, but throughout that whole entire game, you got guys playing, 50, 60 snaps, the whole entire game. So I think tempo, we do a good job of tempoing, right after first downs. Which I think is very good. Daniels does a good job of pre-snap reading beforehand, which like to do what you just said, as far as getting pressure on him, if he pre-snap reads you and gets it right, you're dead in the water. Yep. So like you said, they're going to have to disguise some things, their blitzes and their zone coverages and their man coverages and things like that. But if I were them, I'd see, can we stop them in base defense? If we can't stop them in base defense, if I'm going to blitz, I'm going to play some type of zone behind it because we can clearly beat man coverage by anybody, whether it's Clemson, whether it's South Carolina, whether it's Vandy or anybody you stick out there. We got some dudes that can beat man coverage.
Absolutely. And you just got to find those weapons and you got to take advantage of it. Brock Bowers, again, is somebody, obviously, it's going to factor into the game plan. A.D. Mitchell is somebody that's, he's got to get a little bit more consistent with his route running and finding zones and making the play when it comes to him. Justin Robinson, somebody who got involved in the game plan a little bit more against Vandy, which is good to see. But, where is Burton? Where is Arian Smith? Where is Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint? Where are those guys? I haven't heard or seen much of those guys. Kyrus is fighting his way back to being fully healthy. So, once he finally fully gets back and can contribute on a consistent basis, that'll be a boost. But where are those other guys?
It's really good when you don't have to mention those guys and you're still balling. You just threw for over 300 something yards in the first half, and you don't even have your dudes. That just goes to show coaching that you have, play calling, putting those guys in the right situations and things like that. So now it just goes to the point of what happens when you get them back.
That's freaking scary, man. that is, oh my God. That's you think about that and you're just like, man. And I've also heard that George Pickens has a target date in mind as well. He's recovering fast. He's thinking SEC championship possibly if Georgia continues on the trend they are and running the table and representing the East in Atlanta. That's another weapon you pick up. So,
I mean, I think we're kind of hitting that little mini gauntlet that we talked about earlier this season. With Arkansas and Auburn, all those guys coming up. We make it past this with the dudes we got, get some dudes back heading into the Florida weekend. I mean, sky's the limit for this group.
Yep. So, but also, how well do you think? How much do you think Sam Pittman's knowledge of this program will help him? Will it? I mean, I know once the ball's kicked off, kind of all that kind of goes by the wayside. But is there anything that it could help? Is there anything that having that knowledge makes it an advantage?
It I don't know. Simply because he's got his own team to worry about now. I think the fact that he's going to tell them little tidbits. They ain't going to give up. They're going to play hard. They're going to hit you in the teeth. You're probably going to be picking up some teeth after the game. Things like that. But basically bulletin board talk. Just kind of get them hyped up. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to put on that helmet and shoulder pads. You got to go to work.
Yeah.
You can give them little tidbits. Little notes and stuff moving forward. At the end of the day, I think you got to have to worry about your team at this point. Of course, guys are going to be excited to see you. If I was there, when Coach Pittman was there, I'd definitely be excited to see him because he's one of my favorite coaches.
Love the pit boss.
Exactly. So, I think once 12, I think it's 12-10. Once 12-10 hits and that ball's kicked off, I mean, it's time to go to work. You can't really worry about, what they're doing or anything like that. So I'm excited. I mean, I thought it was going to be, CBS 3:30 game, but hey, they said 12 o'clock. It's time to roll. You got Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit, doing the announcement for this game, which makes it huge. Game day is in Athens. I think they're on campus, right up the street from the stadium now, I Bleav.
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean, that's huge.
And if you follow the Georgia football Twitter account, they have a map of where they're going to be, and they're going to be in two different locations. Looks like they're going to have one in the West End Zone Pavilion. They're going to have a setup, and they will also from 11 a.m. to noon. They will move from 11 a.m. to noon. They will move over to West End Zone Pavilion, but they'll be in Myers Quad before that.
Okay. So they're in their normal spot, and then they're moving to right behind the scoreboard.
Yes, in that new West End Zone Pavilion there. So,
by the way, congratulations to anybody that had the architectural gift of doing that, because that thing is awesome. Whenever you get a chance, Corey, you got to come to a game, because the way they have that set up now, I mean, you can literally sit there and watch the whole entire game. It's really awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I got to check that out, man. That's you see some of the architectural geniuses. Your boy Josh Brooks did his virtual tour through the new facility, the new weight room. It's God, they really skimped on the new weight room. It's only 24,000 square feet. I mean, God Almighty,
it only has its own stairs and stadium set up in there, so you don't even have to go to the stadium anymore if you don't want to. You can use stadiums in the weight room. It's no big deal or anything.
No, that's just why'd they go the cheap route there, man? It's just so sad. So sad that Georgia just can't catch any breaks architecturally, man. It's nuts. No, God, third, what was it, 50 something or 55 power rack, something like that. Just, I mean, it's that facility is insane. It's insane.
Yeah,
that
not only
players'
that,
lounge is
but
ridiculous.
Exactly. And we talk about George Pickens coming back for the SEC championship game, but understand this: Ron Corson designed the whole entire training facility. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he really had a choice but to be back, sooner than expected. So, they're doing some great things, and why not, put on a show this weekend in Sanford Stadium, 12 o'clock.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a big recruiting weekend as well. Just picked up a brand new commitment, actually. Kane Lee. I guess I'm saying that right. I'm not real sure. I hope I am. From Cedar Grove, 4-star corner. He's 5'11", 160. Just big time commitment yesterday. It was great, man. Great to see. He chose Georgia over Ohio State. I guess the kid quitting in the middle of the game probably made him think a little further about going to the Buckeyes. So,
man, how do you quit in the middle of that? We'll talk about that later. But
that's just
glad
bad
to see
culture.
him. And he has a video. It's a very clean play. Kid playing hard. Speaking of picking up teeth, pretty sure the guy that he hit in the video that I saw is picking up his teeth off the ground. Big physical corner. Don't let the 5'11", 160 fool you. Now he's coming downhill. He's a real deal. And, Cedar Grove has always pumped out top notch athletes. Hazelwood's now the starting receiver at Oklahoma, just to name another one. So we're lucky to have him. Looking forward to seeing him ball out.
I'm excited, man. Anytime you get these, physical corners, that's the name of the game. If you get a really good physical corner, it makes it tough. That's what Keely Ringo is. That's somebody, again, that I wanted to highlight as a big time. Like, he's probably going to draw coverage a lot on Treylon Burks, and that's going to be a problem for Burks because Keely Ringo has been suffocating receivers in every single game. He hadn't given up much. He's had a few pass interference penalties called against him, but when you're aggressive, that's going to happen.
Exactly, all the time.
It's kind of like hammering Brett Favre for throwing interceptions. He takes chances, so he's going to throw a few picks, right? So it's just it is what it is. But the dude has been nothing short of amazing. So happy to see Keely Ringo becoming the premier guy. I figured he probably would be. But just to see it actually happening is actually pretty good. And Tyke Smith comes in, gives us a little bit more depth at the star position. Him coming back on that defense is can't be understated for sure. But any updates?
Get to do kind of a little bit more of what you want to do, and we get pulled back this game too as well, don't we?
Yes, we do. We
get pulled back. You get Smith back. You just added 2 guys to your secondary that, now it's time to go play ball. From watching the game last week, this game is going to be a tempo game. We all know how Kendall Browse is. Kendall Browse is one of the bright young minds of college football. He is a tempo guy. He's going to try to tempo us to death. Now, with that being said, here's the point that, I was talking to one of our teachers today, and he was asking me about the spread of the game. I said, if Jefferson plays, take whatever they said the spread's going to be, whatever. If he doesn't play, you better up it because it's going to get real ugly for that other quarterback. If Jefferson plays, it's going to be, it's going to be 4 quarters if Jefferson plays, in my opinion. I think it's going to come down, probably about 8 minutes to go. We kind of take over, win by about 14, maybe even more, just depending on how it goes. If Jefferson plays, if Jefferson doesn't play, it's going to get real ugly.
We're going to see Stetson in the third quarter.
Yeah, because that defense is going to get tired of being on the field with Arkansas. Next thing you know, it's going to be bombs over Athens because we're throwing it left and right. We're running left and right. And Coach Pittman, I love you, but it's going to be a long afternoon for you.
Absolutely. Yes. So, well, it's going to be a big recruiting weekend. There's a bunch of high-profile guys, but some guy named Bear Alexander. He transferred.
He committed the other day.
He did. He did, and he transferred to IMG actually too.
Ooh, that's big time. I think he's about to have a good time in Athens this weekend. It's a 12 o'clock game. He's about to have a great time.
He is. I think he's starting to rethink his Texas A&M lean. Never really. I don't think he really ever committed to A&M, but it was he was going to commit. Yeah, he was going to commit to A&M, but I think he's rethinking that now. He's going to watch these defensive linemen and go, yeah, I should probably go to Georgia.
Yeah. I can play.
I
can be physical. I can play like right now instead of having to quote unquote prove myself to Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah,
I'm going where I can compete and play, baby.
I'm going to a bright young staff that's full of energy, and not some crotchety old coach like Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, whose hats are still too small for his head.
I don't get that. He's trying to go for the Mickey Andrews look, and it's just not working for him. He looks freaking goofy. And his glasses on the end of his nose makes him look about 80 years old.
When I start wearing readers, I'm telling you, when I start wearing readers, I'm going to hand the keys to somebody else. I can't do that. Can't do it. I can't be on the sideline wearing readers. Come on now.
You might as well just wear shorts at that point, too.
Exactly.
You might as well just be wearing shorts. Shorts and one of your workout tees as well. Like you just got to go full like casual. So, but yeah, so you want to get into our picks?
Let's do it. What we got?
Okay, so here's how you did last week. You went 5-3. I went 3-5. We both hit on Notre Dame, which that's a no-brainer. You took BC, I took Mizzou, which means you won. I did not. You took LSU, I took Mississippi State. We all know how that went. We both took the Hogs. We both took Clemson and took a big fat L on that one. We both took UCLA. We both hit on that. We both missed on Tennessee, and we both missed on South Carolina.
What was the end of that set? What was the score of the South Carolina game?
It was 16. Kentucky won 16-10.
Because we couldn't get it anymore. Like went out at some point. I don't know what happened. I guess it was an airing issue.
I mean,
I couldn't watch the game.
You didn't miss much. You didn't miss much. It was not bad, not good. It was kind of like I think Eddie Gran came back and coached that game. So
the Wildcats are 4-0, baby.
They are 4-0. They've found some way to win. All right, so let's start with our game. Arkansas at Georgia. Georgia favored by 18.5 at the moment. It's all going to depend on KJ Jefferson. Until Georgia doesn't cover, and I'm not counting South Carolina and the backdoor non-covered there. They've covered most of their games when they've had huge spreads. So until they consistently not cover, I'm picking Georgia to cover here. Regardless of who the quarterback is for Arkansas, I just think they're going to overwhelm them. What do you think?
I'm picking them to cover as well, simply because I think Georgia has a point to prove. Not to anybody else, not to me, you, or the fan base. I think they have something to prove to themselves. We've taken care of, Clemson already. Now can we do it again? If we can do it again, now we're cooking, because at the end of the day, you still got, in my opinion, you still have to beat Bama, to get to the national championship. So if we can take care of this, we took care of Clemson already. We knocked them off. They're still reeling off of that whooping that we put on them. Now we take care of we take care of a more physical team than Clemson, in my opinion. We take care of an offense that is way better than Clemson's, and we win in good fashion. I mean, hey, sky's the limit with this group.
Absolutely. We get a blowout here that you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, Georgia ruined DJ Ongulale. So Tennessee, Missouri. Missouri is 3-point favorites at home. I think the only reason they're favorites is because they are at home. I think Tennessee has a lot going for them right now. Tennessee's playing actually some really good football. This is one of those on game day, if you decide to put money on this, if Joe Milton is named the starter, run far away from Tennessee on this one. But I'm assuming Hendon Hooker is going to be back, or I'm assuming Joe Milton is not playing. So I'm going to take the Vols in this one to not only cover but to win outright too. I just haven't seen enough from Missouri to fully buy into them.
If I text you on Saturday and tell you I want to change my pick because Hooker's playing, then can I do that, or is that frowned upon?
Maybe you get one mulligan. So are you taking Mizzou?
I'll take Mizzou if Hooker's not playing. If Hooker's playing, I'm taking Tennessee.
Let me check that.
But actually, yeah, check that for me real quick. We'll come back to that one.
Okay. So tentatively, you're going to take Missouri on that, but stand by. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, stand by. All right, our next game. Our next game is – what is our next game? I lost my train of thought. Here we go. Ole Miss at I had these written down too, which is the sad part. Ole Miss at Alabama, CBS game of the week, 14.5-point favorites. Bama is – I don't buy that spread whatsoever. I think regardless – I think this is going to be a tight one. This was a tight one last year. I think Ole Miss has the ability to turn this thing into a track meet. And if they turn this into a track meet, they could not only cover, but they could win this thing outright. So I'm taking the Rebels.
Where's this game being played at?
Tuscaloosa.
I'm taking the Rebels.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The old lane train. I'll tell you who's not taking the Rebels is Mike Wilbon. He's not taking the Rebels. He and he's not going to get a Christmas card from Lane Kiffin this year either. Just sad. I know, right? Okay, here we go. Florida traveling to the grocery bag to take on Kentucky. Florida's 8 points, and I think it's 8.5 now at this point. 8.5-point road favorites. To me, I'm not buying Kentucky at this moment. They're just having so many turnover issues. They have so much potential. They have weapons all over the place, but they just aren't taking advantage of them. They're not taking care of the football. Leon Combs seems like he's in over his head, can't figure out what he wants to do, can't figure out how to manage this 20-hour a week rule. So until he figures that out, I'm not buying the Wildcats. I'm going to take Florida here.
I'm taking Florida simply because looking at what we did against South Carolina and looking at the fact that Kentucky only put up 16 points against them kind of worries me a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with the Gators in this one, in the grocery bag.
Yep. The Kroger bag, the giant Kroger bag. They will punch their way out. All right, Mississippi State at A&M. This one's a tough one. A&M is at Kyle Field, so that's good for them. They're 7-point favorites. Mississippi State has a tendency to play this thing close, but based on last week, I can't trust them. So I'm going to take A&M.
I'm going to take A&M. I think Texas A&M's defense to keep it relatively close, just so that A&M will figure it out offensively. Because after watching Mississippi State on defense, I don't think that they can hold Texas A&M kind of like Arkansas did last week. So I'm taking A&M at home with the 12th man.
That's a very, very good pick. All right. If I told you 2 weeks ago that Vandy would be favored by 14.5 in any game on their schedule, how would you react?
Are they playing us?
They're playing us.
As in Monroe. Because we're about the only team they can beat right now.
They're playing us, as in the University of South Alabama. No, they're playing UConn.
They're favored to beat UConn
by 14.5.
I'm not buying it.
Do you know how bad UConn is?
I know how bad UConn is. I know exactly how bad Vandy is as well. So
UConn could travel down here and play Brentwood Academy and probably lose. UConn is epically bad. This is the only time I will ever take Vandy to cover anything. I'm going to take the Commodores here.
Where's this game played at? In Tennessee?
Yeah.
Is it in Nashville?
Yeah, it's in Nashville.
Is it a day game?
It doesn't matter. I don't think so. Man. Might be a night game. I don't know. I didn't really look.
UConn. I'm still taking UConn.
Okay. Gino Auriemma is not coaching this game, right? They didn't get Jim Calhoun to coach this team. So just keep that in mind. All right. Here's an even more difficult game to pick. Auburn traveling to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. 3.5-point favorites. LSU is, I guess, because it's Saturday night in Death Valley. That's probably the only reason they're favorites. What a weird matchup because both teams are in a very weird place. LSU just, I don't know what's going on with them. There's a lot of turmoil there off the field. At some point, it's got to break it. Ed Orgeron, I don't know what's going on with this group. They're a roller coaster. Auburn can't figure out their quarterback situation. They're probably not as good as we thought they were, coming off those 2 60-point games and a good showing at Penn State. Maybe Penn State's not as good as we thought. I don't know what to make of this. But Bo Nix on the road is something I do not trust. And TJ Finley, I'm not sure I'm ready to trust that yet either, even though I think he's a slightly better option and a more consistent option than Bo Nix is. So either way you slice it and dice it, I'm going to take LSU.
I'm taking LSU from the simple fact that they fired my man, Coach Williams, after game number 4. And from everything that I've gathered, it wasn't warranted. So I'm taking LSU from the simple fact of that was very, very rude thing to do.
We'll have to have story time later. Okay. I think we're going to both pick South Carolina here, but Troy is at South Carolina. South Carolina 7-point favorites. I think we're both taking South Carolina here. I think they've shown an ability to play hard, to play tough. So I think
what's Troy's record? I know Chip Lindsey's probably got them rolling right now. What's their record? Do we know?
We don't, but I will look them up. Troy football. Let's see what they've done here. Okay. They have they beat Southern, not Georgia Southern, Southern University, 55-3. They lost to Liberty 21-13. They beat the Mustard Buzzards 21-9. They lost to ULM. And then they play South Carolina.
What was the ULM score?
29-16.
I'm taking Troy.
Okay. There you go. There you have it. I'm still going to take South Carolina. They're at home. Why? I don't know. I have to zig when you zag on this one. I thought you were going to pick Auburn too, so I felt
absolutely not.
I felt like I was zigging when you were zagging, but okay. Our 2 newest members of the conference, Texas, 4.5-point road favorites at TCU. I'm taking the Longhorns because TCU is a freaking roller coaster ride, and you don't know what the hell's going on in the Big 12. And Texas seems to be the most stable team in the Big 12.
I'm also taking Texas in this one. I think TCU is still upset about the whooping that they took from Tulsa last week. Gary Patterson's still mad about this whole flag situation. So I think that they haven't focused a lot for this Texas whooping that's coming. I think Steve Sarkisian, after Arkansas, kind of figured that, hey, I'm no longer just in the SEC, and I better pick it up before I get back in the SEC. So I think he's got Texas in a really good place. After the last couple of years of watching Texas, they play hard. Even in the loss against Arkansas, they played hard all 4 quarters. So I like Texas in this one as well.
All right. And we got 3 more. And our buzzer's probably going off. Oh, yeah, it's definitely going off. All right, we got 3 more, then we're going to get out of here, I promise. Oklahoma, 10.5-point favorites at Kansas State. the Little Apple is a very tough place to play. But they don't have Skylar Thompson. K-State is a very different team without Skylar Thompson. I think Oklahoma is good enough maybe to cover this. I don't know. I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm going to take the Sooners here.
I'm going Kansas State on this one.
So I should probably actually put the money on your pick, right? I think that's what I'll do.
I don't believe in Spencer Rattler.
I don't either, but Skylar Thompson, if Skylar Thompson was playing, I would definitely take Kansas State every day of the week. But it's just they're a different team when he's not playing. They're a totally different team. Okay, 2 more picks. Clemson, 15-point favorites at BC. Are you buying that?
No, I'm taking BC again.
I'm taking BC as well. They showed me something. Clemson still has not. I do not buy DJ Ongulale as a quarterback. I think Georgia ruined him. And lastly, the most ridiculous spread. Iowa State, 34.5-point favorites over Kansas. Iowa State's had a tough go. They just got blown out by Baylor. Can they cover that spread against Kansas?
I think that Kansas, unfortunately, is about to walk into a whooping because Iowa State's mad. And you know what happens when people are mad? Somebody's got to get taken out on Kansas. And unfortunately, you guys are just the next ones on the schedule.
Yeah, Kansas is like one notch above UConn as far as pitifulness. So, but there's our picks. There is our pick. So I'm going to win a lot of money on this Oklahoma Kansas State game. I'm going to bet my entire paycheck, Israel. So you better come through. You better come through.
You better play the lottery on Saturday then, because I don't know what's going to happen.
I know, right? It could come out that Oklahoma like scores 100 points on Kansas State. You never know. So. But that's going to do it. Our timer has hit 000. I think Courtney has made sure that we see that it's hit 000. We've gone into overtime, but you can find us on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell notification to let you know that we have content available. You can find us on on the Bleav Podcast Network. Anywhere you find your podcast, you could listen to us. If you're making that drive to Athens this weekend, just throw us on the Spotify and give us a listen. I promise you, we're gonna bring it. We're gonna bring it each and every week. So we are the Bleav in Georgia Dawgs podcast. We are brought to you. We are presented by BetOnline.ag, and we are coming to you on Brinks TV as well. We want to thank everybody for listening, and of course, this thing couldn't happen each and every week without you. So spread the good word and check us out. Join the ride here. It's been a year with Israel and I. So and it's only going to get better and better and better. And you never know, I might pop the question. So here we go. Yeah, get excited, right? So here we go. But that's going to do it for this. Have a great Friday. Have an even better weekend. And of course, if you're going to Athens, be safe, enjoy the game, and of course, as always, go Dogs.
This is Bleav in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Bleav Podcast Network.